like complete the register yet, so.
Probably got it, though.
Oh, I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Joke.
Okay, let's call this meeting.
9:04.
That sounds good. So we have three things that we wanted to talk about. One, we need to do the tax cap override. They have printed out the wording. Also, and it's on a very plain piece of paper. So I'm gonna barrel through. I'm gonna read it all over again, so that we can vote. Whereas the adoption of the 2026 budget of the Pine Plains Free Library may require a tax levy increase that exceeds the tax cap imposed by the state law as outlined in General Municipal Law, Section 3-C, adopted in 2011. And whereas the General Municipal Law, Section 3-3 expressly permits the library board to override the tax levy limit by resolution approved by a vote of 60% of qualified board members. Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of Pine Plains Free Library voted and approved to exceed the tax levy limit for 2026 by at least the 60% of the Board of Trustees as required by state law on June 28, 2025.
I move that we approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to do a roll call? Because we need 60%.
Yes, let's do that. We are.
So it's Patrick, it's Kiri, it's Claire, it's Ethan, it's Jenna, and Ruth.
Yes. And
And
Allison is absent. Okay, the second thing we have to pass is the amount. Before we do that, let's just run back through the numbers one more time. In my opinion, and this is only my opinion, it seems silly not to go for the larger amount at this moment in time. It's quibbling over dollars and cents, on a tax bill. It is, I know that's maybe what people are quibbling about is dollars and cents, but it seems like a small number. It's not changing their total active. It's changing how much comes to us. So I guess,
Just to be clear, what it would be quibbling over is $1.08 on average
per month.
monthly.
Yeah. Right,
So that just puts a number.
Yeah.
right.
It's only $1.
And again, I think the really important part of all of this is this doesn't change the bottom line tax number on the tax bill. It doesn't affect that at all. Okay. So the Board of Trustees for the Pine Plains Free Library resolves to pursue the Chapter 414 vote in November 2026 for $220,000. I cribbed the language and then tweaked it. Is that gonna be problematic? Like, does that seem
No.
not legal?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so can someone,
I'll make a motion that we. I'm not sure what the motion was. I make a motion that we pursue a chapter 414 vote in November 2026 for 200.
Second.
second, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need a roll call for that one either?
No.
I was just worried about the 60%.
Do we need 60% for the 414?
I don't think so. I think it's really the legal tax law. And we've done that. Thank you. Ethan, we wanted to talk about Ethan was, pushing this. Not that that's a problem, I 100% agree. That we talk about moving the money to a higher yield account. And I do think You can do. You sent an email and Allison responded, about the finances. It didn't go to everybody, I don't think, but, I think that. So the thought was the Axos bank account, and I have not actually looked at the form. But, we do have the problem with the operating accounts, that Ted wanted us to know which ones are the operating accounts, so they need to kind of stay here. The ones that are the, grants and donations and the money from the town should go somewhere is what we're saying. Right now, Ted, when you and Nelson are paying bills, you just move the money out of the operating account into the checking account, is that correct?
Yes, we move money. First of all, the town check, right, is deposited in what we call account 19,
Okay.
which is an operating account.
Uh-huh.
As we need money, we withdraw from 19, put it into the checking account,
Mhm.
and then draw the check. I'm a little bit confused though about what you're talking about donations, because that donation account not only consists of donation, but it also consists of the grants.
Right.
And we
It's a
need to
grant.
pull it out of that account
Right,
as we use the grant.
right,
So,
So it's an active account, is what you're saying.
yes.
right. That was, I said the grants and donations.
Okay.
I said both. Or I thought I did, I meant to. So it may be that the workflow needs to change just slightly and if, and I, like I said, I haven't read the actual page that explains like what our maximum numbers of transfers are. Transfers out is usually what they restrict, not transfers in. If we know how much we generally spend, but we can make like 3 transfers out, then we could do, the first transfer would be for what we think we're gonna spend, and then the second would be the tweak. If we set up 2 different accounts, I don't think there's any reason to not, if it's necessary to have the donations and grants in a separate account from the operating account, that's fine. We can see if we can set up 2 accounts. And then we just need to figure out what the rules are for the transfers out. For writing a check for $55, we shouldn't have to transfer $55. We should, I'm trying to work it out. So this, like, we could make this work intellectually as well as what you have something to say.
I
You
do.
need to say it.
So we have 2 accounts that will stay at Stissing.
Yeah.
I think this is where the confusion
Right.
might be. We will have 89, 3, which is the first?
It's in large.
Oh, this
That's
is the
the large
okay,
house,
that's,
yeah.
yeah, you're right. So 3. So 3. We'll have the 89, 19, is it 19, 17?
19 is the one you want to move.
Yeah.
We're thinking about moving.
So the 17 is the one well, I'm sorry, operating fund is 2 or what's
89, 79.
So-
89 is the checking account. 79 is the account that GTM uses to pay the payroll. And then 84 is the Sissing Lodge account.
Right. So we'd need to make 1 transfer into the payroll account.
Well, they draw it as at least twice a month, but there are,
But we know, but that's a known number. It should be
well, it really
it
is.
doesn't need to be to the cent in that account, it just, like, if we know it's gonna be approximately, 15,000, making up a number, we could just get in the habit of transferring 15,000, and then if it needs to be more, we can move more. Like we have to start, it may be that we have to start thinking differently about those transfers.
Is there a way to do, I really don't know anything about this, so, but is there a way to just do those transfers automatically? You know,
I'm sure we could set
so that,
up the monthly,
so if it's, let's say it's 15,000, like, you know, every, you know, second Tuesday, that we get $15,000 goes into that account to cover the payroll,
yeah,
so that we're not. I think what you're trying to say is like, maybe try and automate some of this.
I think if we can, and whatever we can automate, I think we should automate, like with those automatic transfers. But I think it may just be that we just think about moving money differently, you know, but so we're talking about moving, I think it's the operating one that's the most, or not the one where the town money goes into.
That's
That's
19.
that's 19.
Evans notes at 58.
My proposal would be to move both account 19 and account 58. Because those are the highest
Highest ballot.
balance. And I would assume that it's just easier bookkeeping to keep those as separate accounts, as two completely separate accounts and move two accounts into two accounts. And we still are getting the benefit of having a cumulative total of, at this point, 280,000
In a high yield
in
account,
two high yield accounts
yes,
within one bank.
right,
If 19 is operating, 84 is Stissing, 79 is payroll, and 89 is checking, what is 58?
Donations
grants.
and grants.
Res MM.
And some of the transfers are easy, like payroll consistently takes out roughly the same amount monthly. And has pretty static change. The one that takes a little bit of finesse is the potential on the checking account, because sometimes you need to transfer different amounts for different projects, and the printer breaks and all of a sudden we have to buy a printer, or et cetera, et cetera.
I think one of the things you have to know is how long will a transfer take? How easy is it to transfer money? Is it simply a phone call? Is this, you have to know what is required to do
Right,
this?
okay, we'll figure that out. I mean, most banks now have a 1 day overnight is the number. But then, like I hold money at Capital One, as well as, I have my checking at Schwab. Both of them make it not like quite that simple.
So you want to keep your money for the next 3 days, so they're making money on it.
Right, exactly.
3 days.
It's so yes, we would need to find out. We need to try it out and see what's the legitimate amount of time that's gonna go. That's what happens with the online banking, but it shouldn't be, it's usually not. The question is whether Stissing Bank will put a hold on the money as it comes in. Some banks do that, like you drop money in, they hold on to it, they don't put it into active.
When I transfer money from one account to Stissing, it takes 3 days usually, because Stissing is a non,
Things that,
it's like a small, they're not part of the whatever network, so most it would be 3 days. And I don't think Stissing
Right.
holds it. I don't
Right.
think they hold it.
When you deposit,
it's a good question.
Another.
Well, how do you deposit? Usually it's through an app on a phone, nowadays. We'd have to look at that. If we have to mail stuff, that adds a couple of days.
But they would take it, we would deposit in 89. Usually everything we deposit is into 89, and then we move it from 89. Yes,
it goes into 89, but then we move to 19.
right. But we could just move it from 89 to whatever this bank is. You could have an ACH connection between the two. And then
Yeah, that's
you just
true.
move it.
Yeah,
Which that would be really good because then you keep your connection with direct depositing money here.
Mhm.
Because they'll probably be easier to deal with.
We'll see if they have that, because it is a smaller bank, sometimes they aren't part of those networks, but they might be.
I think they have to be, like everybody in the world gets direct deposit with their paycheck.
Oh, that,
So they have to be able to handle an ACH transfer. Okay.
The most amount of time I ever wait for money is a 5-day hold, but that's when I'm putting stuff international.
Well,
like-
go tell us more.
That's, yeah, Caymans. That's like HSBC in London. So, but that's the most hold, that's the biggest hold that I've ever had.
Is,
What's the bank we identified again for the?
Axos.
Reason that was chosen through Allison's research, they had the highest rate of return at a 3.8 APY.
And we could sign up online.
Didn't have to go in person.
Mark Dakota, I work for you.
Or have an account somewhere, like, there was one that wanted us to, it was the paper wanted us to have an account in Utah to deposit that money. You know what? I'm gonna have to, I didn't look at this. I'm gonna skim this very quickly. You. With the.
So the biggest question so far, how does money get transferred between the two banks? What is the limit of withdrawal amounts?
Right,
Time you can withdraw. I did look back at the meetings. I said I was going to, and there was too much talk. I couldn't understand what else. I don't know if it was 5 or 10. I think it's 5.
nonprofit money market, there we go. No monthly maintenance fees when you maintain an average balance of $250.
Say that again, please.
$2,500 for a minimum average daily balance. It's not a problem. Free image statements, online banking and mobile banking with remote deposit anywhere. 1,000 minimum opening deposit, dedicated relationship manner. 30 cents per item processing fee over 25 items per month. So that would be if we were writing the multiple check. I mean, it's the money market. I'm sure it does have check writing privileges. This isn't the right one. This is saying the nonprofit money market rates are 0.2%. I'll have to figure out which account we're talking about.
I looked at the flyer that you sent, but I think that's the I think it's more investment for the municipality.
Yeah, it looked like it was like mute money funds and
Index fund, mutual funds, fixed income investment.
I thought there was a money market component to it, but it was a little bit confusing to me, but it was an option. There was a New York Liquid Assets Fund that municipalities can take advantage of to park their money. So, it had a good rate and it was. But it did have a component of where you could have your employees or whatever in invest in it.
Okay, so, well, I guess it seems there's still questions we need to answer. I'm on the website right now, and the question is, how will we define ourselves? Are we a business or are we a nonprofit? It doesn't look like the nonprofit money market is any benefit, so,
Right.
you know, like, I don't know what the application looks like, so we'd have to do it. And I think Allison was saying that we would have to figure out how to do it together, like fill out the form so that we're both
Well,
tied in.
that's the question. Nelson also has to withdraw. Yeah. Do we have 3 names on the
I
account?
don't know, I'd have to talk to them. I will have to figure out what, whether we just have one login and anybody could use it, you know, and then we could figure out, you know, how to do that. I think it might be that if we're not doing the withdrawals the same way we do them now, the question is whether Nelson has to be the one to do it, you know, or whether if we're not writing a check, making a withdrawal simultaneously, if we're working with cash balances differently, if it may not be the same workflow anymore. So we'll have to figure out how to do that correctly. But Nelson should probably have access to that. But we'll have to figure out.
How does he do it now? He has the login information, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be probably the same thing.
But we have to answer these questions. The small business. I have to look through this website, that's my bad for not having gone deeper into it. I guess, again, we need to figure out if we're willing to really do this. If we're not, it's not worth spending more time on it. I'm willing to do the research now. I have a little.
I think we should, if they're willing to do the research, I think we should do it because we're. According to Ethan's numbers,
Yeah.
$12,000, that's a significant amount of money for us, so I think that we should do it, we're just throwing money away.
Keeping it here.
Keeping it here.
Yeah.
So I think we should,
Okay.
as long as we can identify which account to put it into.
Yeah.
That's gonna be safe for us and acceptable for us,
Right.
I think we should.
I will make the. Get more information either from Allison or from them as to what we would be,
I have a question.
yeah.
If we're going to take, the Stissing account, is that the goal at one point to spend it down and to close it out?
We're
Which
talking about
account?
84,
84 Stissing account, yeah.
That's the logic account?
large account.
How much is in there?
54.
54,000?
Mhm.
And is it limited what we can spend that money on?
It is not. But the limitation is it stays in the bank.
Maybe
No.
she's right. Maybe we just use that money.
As a transfer to pay for payroll and stuff like that for a while or whatever we need. To the operating.
And just get rid of the account.
You can do it.
What's the benefit to hanging on to it?
There is no real benefit. You could spend it as you wish. The only thing is, if you kept some money in it, it would provide an emergency way of getting cash, 1, 2, 3. Here. So maybe you want to consider leaving $10,000 in it. If something happens, you're covered.
Right.
The interest rate is crappy. But
Well, maybe for this year, we put in the budget that it was 20-something thousand dollars in reserve funds. We're going to make up the difference between the 414 money and what our actual budget is, correct?
Right, we
24,000.
changed we changed the number from 200 to 220.
43,500.
So, yeah,
And we know that that probably won't be the total number because it'll get chewed away when we get grants or donations. So maybe we could use the lodge money this year and use that as the reserve money. And let's say it goes, let's say it is all 43,000. That still leaves $10,000 in the account, like you said, for
Mhm.
cash on hand here, easily accessible.
Do we need to vote on any of this? No, we're just having a conversation. Okay. I'll spend some time either today or tomorrow, and then I'll try to reach out to Allison and figure out what she was thinking we were plugging into. So I'm on the same page, and then we can have this conversation. Have the final vote. I think we all were agreed when we first started talking about it, that we were gonna pursue it, so. And we'll answer your questions. You know, I think they're legitimate questions, to know what we're doing.
I'm sending those questions in that email, correct? So that
Okay,
we have them,
great.
Okay.
because I'm other.
And then we vote on it at the next board meeting.
And then,
That's what the decision is made and we transfer the money shortly thereafter. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
With regard to the 414 vote, I think we should outline what the next steps are right now.
Okay.
We're notifying.
Yeah.
How we notify the town,
okay,
Madeline, getting signatures, let's talk about.
we
we're under
need
time-
to write up, so this is the problem, is the lawyer is non-responsive. We need to write up the petition, and it needs to be legal, and I don't know who we have to confirm that with.
Can't we use the exact same petition as last time?
Changes from year to year.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay,
Who's gonna evaluate it and who's gonna do it?
The last time when y'all had the lawyer, did you have to vote for a retainer fund? Because we have used up our retainer with them.
Is that why they're
Well, maybe
not
that's why.
responding?
that wouldn't be
No,
why they-
but in order to short circuit any problems, did y'all vote to give them a retainer last time?
We did have a retainer that we gave them. I don't know what it was.
So let's vote to approve giving them a retainer up to a certain amount of money now.
We know what it cost us last year.
I did 2 years ago. I don't know. I can't recall what the numbers were.
I can,
We'd have to look at what the bills were from.
but we can start with a retainer and then
Yeah.
fill it up if we need to from that. They're charging an hour. For
So why don't we do $1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Approve a retainer of up to $1,000.
Right.
And then if they need, okay, fairly unlikely that it'll be more than that, we can. Leave that in the next one, we'll.
Right.
Thank you.
Wait, live to vote on that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we, provide the lawyer who we used last time, whose name I don't know. Robert Schofield, a retainer of $1,000. To cover the 414.
And we need to move
conditions,
really
et cetera.
fast on this.
Yeah, this Monday.
Um,
Second, someone else second.
I'm gonna ask a question that I think Ted already has. Where is the money coming from? Or where are we taking it out of?
Well, I'm taking out
a lot.
Wait, hold on, is this are we able to do the 414?
Yep.
It's a friends thing.
No.
We're not saying vote yes.
Okay,
It's only the vote yes
Okay,
part that
okay.
is the friends.
I'm nervous about this.
No, it's a good question, but
Kiri made the motion.
Second.
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
That's one, I don't know
Yeah.
why he's not getting in touch with us,
Right.
that removes an impediment.
okay, so once we get the ballot, the petition form, then we need to get 25 signatures, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
we need 25 plus a
Plus.
buffer, so we probably need 40.
yeah, 50, yeah, 50,
So we
okay,
need to be ready to do that,
okay, and then we need to speak to Madeline
Madeline.
about getting, so she can submit those approved / submit
Right.
signatures.
And we have to have all the signatures done by our meeting in 3 weeks.
Okay,
I'm leaving to go to Europe on the 18th, which is the day after our meeting. It's a long planned vacation. Sorry, which means we can approve the petitions, but then somebody else is gonna have to take them to Madeline. I have not asked Madeline. I did mention to her that we were thinking about doing this. I will, maybe we can, a group of us can draft a letter to the town board. As to what we need to say and just send the email to everyone. I start getting squirrely when I start writing things like that.
Why the letter to the town?
We need to notify the town board that we're planning to do this.
Really?
Yes. Just matter of form.
We're not legally bound.
We're not
It's a
legally,
nice-
yeah, we should let them know we're doing it. We're not legally bound to. They don't need to approve it,
we did what they tried to do last time, they tried to,
Yeah.
they tried to say they needed to approve
they
it.
needed to vote on
And,
it.
and we were like, no, Warren, sit down. You little lady should get a lawyer.
Oh,
Literally,
yeah.
Literally. So,
Okay.
so I did mention it to Madeline. I don't know when she's going on vacation. It could be, right now too, so. So when we hand them off to her on the 18th or, I can do it the morning of the 18th. Then she would have to make sure she can do it. I never called the Board of Elections to warn them that we were planning to do this. I don't know if that's also necessary, but
Has anybody talked to Rebecca or Mitt Hudson about a lawyer?
She would have recommended the one we're using, that's what she recommended.
That's who she recommended before, and now he's not answering.
I'll,
So
I'll,
say it, Ted. Speak up. Speak loud and proud.
There's a problem. Why wouldn't the lawyer answer?
Exactly. There's something not quite right.
he did at one point, we exchanged phone calls, but I had left and now it's not emails. I don't know, maybe there's somebody else who can handle it up there, but I'll talk to the secretary and see, but I left specific, say, I just need a yes or no, and if it's a no, this is what I need the language for, but I have gotten nothing back, so I don't know what to say.
Because we need the 50 signatures between now and July
right.
17th.
yeah.
Let me talk with Rebecca, see if there's a way to short circuit the attorney, maybe she has languages that we could.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, there are other libraries who are going for 414 votes, so they should have the petition language already done.
Oh,
You know,
talk to Krista.
okay, talk to Chris.
See if you can.
Yeah. I had thought about that.
Yeah.
She's Okay, yeah.
And this is something that
No, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here.
go open the thrift shop.
Yeah.
I might pop over if there's something good over there. We're all oohing on about that, the cotton candy machine.
Oh.
Oh, that would have been neat.
Oh, I had one as a kid. They were fun.
Did you have an easy way out of?
Did have an easy.
I did have an easy-
There's fun thing with a light bulb.
Somewhere along the line, you also need to control, you need to contact state controls.
Right. Right. Is that,
When you do it,
okay, I will, yeah, I wrote it down on the piece of paper last.
Rebecca have like a 5 easy steps to 414 vote?
Yes, there, what?
Everyone last
I
time?
don't remember.
Okay.
Alexis did.
Yeah, there's a booklet that's, and yes, and I'm sure. I don't have a problem getting in touch with her. I've been participating in the group, the 414 group. You know, and like, you know, I've been unraveling too, so, you know, they've been helping, you know, kind of give some advice, but I can call her and tell her where we're hung up right this second.
Who else locally is going? Sanford's going, Millerton,
Millerton, Amelia usually goes.
Mania.
I can contact any of them and see what, let me pull from that, let me pull. from that.
Yeah.
Can you also talk about, with, yeah, when you speak to them, can you also talk about, uh, how they're messaging it to their community? Like, you know, what, do they anticipate pushback? Have they gotten pushback? Is it just, routine now? Like what, just sort of any advice on how they message the,
The group that I was talking to was saying that, like Pleasant Valley does a big, they put stuff up on the side of the road. They actually have gone to, and this was an interesting, they would go to the ballot, you know, like the day of the final day of the real vote. They would go and kind of stand there and talk to people about it, just to remind people, because it's really,
Flip over
it's just a like flip it over, you know, like. That's the most important piece, is make sure you know that there's something on the back.
so maybe we make signs or say something like, flip it over, vote yes.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like maybe there's,
Or remember the library, flip it over, come up with something.
yeah, yeah, some.
I'd be curious to know how Millerton's marketing theirs this year, because you'll all recall, the town
a few years ago.
it didn't bribe them, but said, please don't go for a 414. We will increase your contribution from the town budget. And they still are going for 414 this year.
There was some reason why they were doing that, but yeah.
There was, I think, because they did the purchase of the new town hall and they had some big expenditures.
Really?
Yeah,
Where's the new town hall?
the old, you know where the NDP substation is? That way down.
Oh, yeah, they're moving all the way down there,
Wow.
all the way out of town.
Yeah, that seems.
Wow, okay, interesting.
They don't have space.
Well, I know I've been in that, I've been in Fort. Or Prevail.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know where the current, up by the,
Perfect on these, on the corner
Okay.
of Duchess and
okay,
Maple.
oh, that's where they're putting the new one in.
No, that's where the old one is.
Yeah.
The other one's down past Mickey Hill.
Is it going in the NDP or the Jehovah's Witness?
Oh,
yes, the old Kingdom Hall.
Yeah, you know,
Exactly
interesting enough,
opposite of what
the
we're doing.
problem with trusting the town to give you more money is it's not a pro forma, it doesn't actually
Yeah.
change it. So they then it's better not to do those deals.
That's what Rhiannon had inferred when I talked to her, when I did the library thing over there.
Right.
But I didn't get into a long-winded conversation.
Yeah, I think,
She said they are going for a 4.
yeah, I think it locks it in. It's not, that's the end of it. It's if you're trusting your town, you do not think you shouldn't trust the town, but you know, you have to.
Well, like your point, I mean, then they have, you know, that they find asbestos in that building and suddenly they've got to, you know.
Yeah.
Just as an example, and then suddenly they don't have the money for next year and they're back where you started and you have to ask for even more, so it's like.
So my next move
Okay.
will be tomorrow. I will try once more to contact them.
Not
Attorney.
tomorrow,
Sorry.
Monday.
I've not had a week. Monday, but I will simultaneously contact Rhiannon or Krista to see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
language of the
both of them.
petitions and which attorneys they use.
Right. Yeah,
And then you
great,
will contact the town and Madeline
yes.
and the secretary of the comptroller or whoever it is. Who was it that you needed to state?
The
Yeah.
state comptroller.
I'm not sure where. I'm
Uh,
real on the line, God, yeah.
Let me look into that, and then do that. Should I get in touch with the Board of Elections?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. The woman that we spoke to last time isn't on, she's not there anymore.
Okay. Is it your sense that we have to tell them what the number is, or just that we're voting?
Somewhere along the line, you gotta give them both.
Okay. I'll figure it out. Answer to that.
They're very nice.
I'm sure. I'm sure they get a fair number of answers or questions about things like this.
Do you want a letter sent to the town board within this period of time as well?
Yeah, I was gonna write an email.
As
I think we
one
did-
sentence.
Yeah, but I think, I wonder
Sincerely.
if we should have the other pieces in place. It's like notifying the Board of Elections and the state comptroller before we notify the town. We're just,
Right.
I
I mean,
maybe not necessary.
Janine was here for one of the meetings where we were talking about it, so like, for her, it's not gonna be a surprise. The question is whether she told everybody. I don't know.
We hadn't determined at that point that we were definitely. Right?
I feel like we've been talking about it, like it's pretty definite, you know, it's just that this is. The truth is, until we take the vote we took today, it wasn't definite, so.
Okay, so then maybe we just go ahead and drop the email to that and just say, you know, to the town board, as of, you know, today, then.
Today we voted
And you,
to.
yeah, the Pine Plains Free Herald, whatever it's called. You know, legislative for you vote, you know, in the amount of blah, blah, blah. Consider yourself duly on.
Do we have to tell them, you know? I mean, it's public, it'll be public when we start out.
They're gonna ask.
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole purpose of
Yeah.
the?
I mean, I
email?
think it's like,
Kind of.
who's gonna write that?
Um,
You want me to write it and then you send it?
that would be lovely. Don't know why, it's always
I
where I
prefer
get
to
jammed
write.
up.
You BCC me on that, because I can't wait.
I will be. Will be-
I can BCC all of you, I'm gonna send it out, just so we all know.
Send out. Hey, some interesting responses? Is that- There will be, I think
There will be.
there will be somewhere. Yeah, because it affects their budget, right? Like, so, because we need more money, they have to either take money away from something else or they
Or
have
tax.
to raise taxes. So they, you know, remember, they were only giving us, how much were they giving? 99,000. 99,000, so we're doubled what they.
In 2
So
years.
I think the thing that works in our favor is that anyone to campaign no against the library just makes you like.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well,
Right.
but you know, we'll see. And if we don't, if it doesn't pass, then we take measures to cut our costs that will significantly affect
Impact our.
our, so.
And we're still with this budget lower than every town around us. To be clear.
We don't pay rent.
We don't pay rent, which they will bring up. We brought up last.
To remember that.
You did
We
say,
can say that.
and what that
No.
came up last time is that when we brought it up in a town board meeting, Sarah reminded Brian that we don't pay rent, which is significant, you know, portion of.
If they want us to charge us rent, then this.
Speaking
We
of-
also,
speaking,
we are
need to
gonna have to.
renegotiate that
yeah.
lease.
we can't, it's very hard for us to get grants to do anything, and we have, it starts
Years?
at the end of next year, is that?
I think 2027. Yeah, I think it's.
Okay,
Expires? Yeah.
we should, yeah, we
We need
should,
to start.
definitely start.
We have to have at least,
May need
most
to,
infrastructure grants are 20 at least, I think, or 25. So, because the state will not pay for anything for any less,
okay.
I'm afraid.
they need to make sure that we get
Okay.
full money out of it.
I think Patrick suggests that we have to hire a lawyer to do the negotiations.
For the lease, I'm afraid that there are people like, there are people on the board who I think are very close to saying, I mean, what's our lease now? We pay like $1 a year.
No, I don't think we should negotiate the lease until after the election in November. I think we need to see what happens in
Okay.
November. 'Cause we'll be,
Okay.
the people there now may not be there in November, or they may be, but let's negotiate
Right.
with people who are actually gonna be there.
Right,
So,
okay,
And I've gotten some numbers, preliminary numbers on the insurance for what we're required, which we should have anyway. But it was like, it'll add 7,000 just for those three
Okay.
components to our current insurance bill. So it'd be about 10,000 a year for insurance. But I'm trying to get them to have a lower amount so that we don't have to get the full amounts that they're asking.
right, right. The truth is that we don't, for an umbrella policy, we don't have a playground, we don't have, like, so like some of the things that I think are this, like standard.
Well, even the cybersecurity, the Utica would not go up to the three, I think they wanted 3 million, but the county, and they would not do that for us because we are so small.
Right,
So I'm saying, and I pushed back, I asked the county, I said, they will not even do that. They came back with me on Friday and said, what are the amounts that you can? What could you afford? So,
right,
so
okay,
that's my project is next week is I'll find out a little,
right,
but,
right. What's the smallest umbrella policy out there?
or the other policies as well. So,
Yeah, so,
My apologies, December 31st, 2028,
okay, oh, so we've got a couple of years to.
new Diane.
Although it is an impact on us going for grants, we're talking about anything more structural. Because they don't wanna give us a grant for something that we don't have.
I also wonder. What's their position gonna be, like, when they build the new town hall, which I realize is, not happening tomorrow, but when they build the new town hall, what is their interest in this building gonna be? You know what I mean? They may not even want this building anymore. So, because you would think that Ted looking at it crazy, but they'll put a community room in that new building. Like, do they even wanna be carrying this building anymore? Are they gonna, do they wanna sell it to us? Or not that we wanna buy it? Do they wanna, I do think
Wanna
that-
get rid of that bond, but
I think we may need to talk about what the long-term, at a certain point, what the long-term plan is for this building once they've built a new town hall,
right,
because maybe they want to sell it and turn it into affordable housing. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, I'm making it up, but like,
right,
they have to have a long-term plan for this building.
right.
They had spoken about in one of the workshops about a community room in the new town hall, and they argued against it because
That makes no sense.
they're still going to have to put a large meeting room in there anyway for town meeting, and whatnot.
But just, I mean, it's not today's problem, but I do think it's something that we should think about, in the future.
Could potentially just transfer it to us.
Well, that's the thing, they could just
The
give
map.
it to us.
Right, but the bond is,
But we could, not that we want this building either,
No.
I realize it's public issues.
Yeah.
Anyway, just. There are just other things that we should think about.
just give us,
The McGee building is still.
If we're gonna do that,
Are you nuts?
no, it's not an option.
which is the.
Oh, that's fine.
Which one is that?
It's empty. The one at the old
It's
library.
the old library.
Oh, God.
It's
It's
no,
not an option because it's.
It has to be torn
gonna
down.
Yeah.
Fall off its pins.
It's
and
great
then-
ventilation.
Yeah.
Nice artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I threw out to Claire and Deanne the other day that we buy the Grange Hall.
I said, there's a parking problem there. They don't have any.
That's true, we have a parking problem here.
Unless you can park in back.
Maybe you can buy packs.
Maybe
That's what I was thinking too at one point. It would be a nice conversion.
They just, you saw that on Instagram, they're posting that they wanna rent the upstairs space in the old PEX building.
Yeah, they just
That-
posted it.
That was the first time Charlene has like
Awesome.
released.
They're gonna rent out the upstairs.
Upstairs, no elevator. They didn't say what the amount was that they're renting it for.
It's a commercial space, I think.
And
And they're gonna rent out the first floor too at some point, because I asked the question.
Right. Oh, did they
On
respond?
Instagram.
Yeah.
What are they putting in it?
They're renting it.
They don't know who's gonna go in yet. They're
Yeah.
putting it up to let.
They're offering it.
We
to
probably
the-
shouldn't be having this conversation on.
Motion to adjourn
Okay, yes,
at 9:55.
I
all in
second.
favor.
Aye.
Thank you all for being here.